She walked into the wedding alone, dressed simply, quietly taking a seat at the back. No one really noticed her at first, not the bride, not the groom, not even most of the guests. But some recognized her. Whispers passed through the crowd. "That's his ex," they murmured. "The woman he was supposed to marry. The one everyone thought he would never get over." Yet here she was, smiling gently, clapping along with the rest, pretending nothing inside her hurt. The ceremony was beautiful, almost cinematic. The groom stood tall, proud. The bride glowed, but something in the air felt strange, tense. People kept glancing back at the quiet woman sitting alone. Why had she come? Was it closure? Was it strength? Or something else entirely? No one could have guessed what would happen next. Just as the newlyweds were about to walk down the aisle as husband and wife, a hush fell over the crowd. Heads turned. The doors at the back opened again, and in walked a man, but not just any man, tall, confident, and sharp in a dark suit. He strode straight toward the woman sitting alone. Everyone stared. Whispers turned to gasps. Who was he? Why was he here? And why did the woman suddenly look like the strongest person in the room? What followed next would flip the energy of the entire day. The groom's face paled. The bride looked confused. And the guests? Well, no one knew what to say. This wasn't just a wedding anymore. It was a story of past love, new beginnings, quiet resilience, and one unforgettable twist. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind this unexpected moment, why she came alone, who the mysterious man really was, and how one entrance changed everything. Before the mysterious man arrived, most people at the wedding barely remembered her name. Maya. That's what they used to call her when she was the one wearing the promise ring, when she and Daniel were planning their future together. They had been high school sweethearts, inseparable, always laughing, the kind of couple everyone thought would go the distance. But sometimes love doesn't end with a fight. Sometimes it just fades, slowly, quietly, without warning. No one really knew why they broke up. Some said Daniel got cold feet. Others said Maya had changed. But the truth never came out, and Maya didn't fight the gossip. She just disappeared from everyone's lives, almost overnight. Until now, the guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats, pretending to watch the couple but stealing glances at her. Even Daniel had stolen a look mid-ceremony, as if seeing a ghost. But Maya didn't flinch. She clapped when she was supposed to. She smiled when their vows were read. Her hands never trembled. It was as if she had made peace with the past. But then came him. He walked in like he owned the room, and yet his eyes searched only for her. Maya stood when he reached her, and without saying a word, he offered his arm. The guests gasped again. This wasn't some random date. The way he looked at her, the way she held his hand, it said everything. He wasn't just someone. He was someone important. Daniel saw it too. His jaw clenched. The bride, still holding onto his arm, leaned in to whisper something, but he didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on Maya and the man beside her. Whispers started again. Was this Maya's revenge? Had she come to prove something? Or had life just taken a wild, poetic turn that no one saw coming? The truth was deeper than anyone imagined. And what happened next would leave everyone questioning what they thought they knew. Maya didn't say much, but her presence said everything. As she stood beside the man who had just walked in, the room's energy shifted. Some guests were still trying to figure out who he was. A few whispered that he looked familiar, someone from out of town, maybe someone important. Others just stared, trying to make sense of the silent tension now thick in the air. Daniel's mother, seated near the front, leaned over to her husband. "That's her new husband," she whispered sharply. "I saw something online. He's in business or politics. Something big." If it was supposed to be Daniel's perfect day, it wasn't anymore. His smile had faded. His grip on the bride's hand had gone tight. The photographer, sensing the awkwardness, hesitated before taking more pictures. Behind Maya's calm face was a storm of memories. This church, these people, the smell of the flowers, it all brought back a life she had once imagined for herself. There had been a time she thought she'd walk down that very aisle toward Daniel, but that future had slipped away. And yet, standing there now, she didn't feel bitter. Not anymore. She just wanted to be seen, not as someone he lost, but as someone who grew. Her new husband, Alex, knew. He had encouraged her to come. "You have every right to be there," he had said. Closure isn't weakness, but even he hadn't planned to walk in. He only arrived after seeing how quiet she looked walking in alone. He couldn't let her face the whispers by herself. Somewhere in the back, Daniel's younger sister, Sophie, watched the scene unfold with wide eyes. She remembered Maya, how kind she'd been, how heartbroken she looked when she left. Now, Sophie wondered what really happened between Maya and her brother. Because if Daniel had truly moved on, why couldn't he stop staring? The air in the hall felt heavier with each passing second. Conversations turned to hushed murmurs, stolen glances turned into open stares, and even the music playing in the background seemed to fade. Maya stood still, her hand resting gently on Alex's arm, as Daniel kept looking at her like he had something to say but couldn't find the words. His bride, Olivia, tried to smile, but her eyes had begun to flicker with unease. She had noticed it too, the look on her husband's face. They were supposed to be celebrating their new life together, but all eyes were on a different couple now. The ex-girlfriend and the unexpected man who turned everything upside down. The woman Daniel had once loved, and the man who clearly loved her now. Alex leaned in and whispered something to Maya. She nodded slightly, but her gaze never left Daniel. Not because she wanted to go back to him, but because something unspoken still lingered. They had never really had a proper goodbye. No closure, just silence, followed by distance. And now, this strange, surreal moment had brought it all flooding back. Meanwhile, Sophie stood by the dessert table, watching every second unfold. She could see Olivia gripping Daniel's hand tighter, as if trying to pull him back into the present. But Daniel was already somewhere else, lost in a memory, or maybe in regret. The tension reached a peak when Alex slowly stepped forward, guiding Maya a little closer to the main aisle. Everyone held their breath. The music stopped. A fork clattered to the ground, but no one looked away. Daniel finally took a step forward. Olivia whispered his name under her breath, her voice trembling, but he didn't stop. He kept walking toward Maya, toward the past, towards something unfinished, and just before he could speak, Maya looked him dead in the eyes. The moment everyone had been waiting for was about to unfold. Maya met Daniel's gaze without flinching. For a second, it felt like time had paused. No music, no whispers, just the thick, quiet weight of everything unsaid. Then Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but before a word could come out, a woman from the far end of the room stood up. It was Claire, Olivia's cousin. She hadn't said a word all day, but now her voice cut through the silence. "Daniel, are you really doing this? Right now? In front of your wife?" The guests gasped again. Olivia froze. Claire wasn't just emotional, she looked furious. All eyes turned. Claire's voice trembled, but she pressed on. "You told me it was over with Maya. You told me there was no one else when you proposed to Olivia. So why does it look like you're still chasing her?" Gasps spread like wildfire. The tension in the room snapped like a wire. Daniel's face went pale. Olivia slowly turned her head to him, her expression a mix of shock and hurt. Maya looked stunned, not just because of what Claire had said, but because she hadn't known. No one had. Alex stepped slightly in front of Maya, protective now. The crowd erupted into whispers again, louder this time. The perfect wedding was unraveling, and everyone could feel it. Daniel tried to speak, his voice cracking. "Claire, this isn't the time," but Claire shook her head, eyes blazing. "No, this was supposed to be Olivia's time. And now look at this mess." Sophie watched, horrified, from the sidelines. She had known her brother wasn't perfect. But this was something else. Maya's heart pounded. She had come for peace, for closure, but instead, she found herself in the center of a storm she didn't even know existed. And now, everything was about to change. Again, Silence fell again, but this time it was heavy, suffocating. All eyes were on Daniel, waiting, expecting. His face was flushed, his jaw clenched. Olivia hadn't said a word yet, but her grip on her bouquet had tightened so much that petals had begun to fall. Maya looked at Daniel, not with anger, but something closer to pity. Whatever he was about to say wouldn't change what she had already healed from. She had moved on. She had found someone who loved her without confusion, without holding onto a past. I didn't cheat, Daniel finally said, his voice rough. But I lied. To Claire, to Olivia, and to myself. He glanced at Maya. And maybe to you too. Olivia's eyes shimmered with tears, but she stayed composed. Why didn't you tell me you still had feelings for her? She asked quietly. Because I didn't want to admit it, he said. Not until I saw her walk in today. The words hung in the air like smoke. Maya inhaled slowly, then stepped forward, gently taking Alex's hand. I came here to let go, Daniel. Whatever we had, it ended a long time ago. I'm not here to win anything back. Daniel looked stunned. But before he could reply, Olivia turned to the crowd. Well, I think that's enough drama for one day. Her voice was steady now. We won't pretend this didn't happen, but we will decide what happens next together. The guests held their breath, but just as everyone started to feel the moment might settle, a man near the back stood up, someone no one had noticed before. He looked straight at Alex. I didn't expect to see you here, he said coldly. Especially not with her. Maya turned slowly. Alex's face froze. And in that single second, it became clear there was still one secret left, and it had just walked into the room. The room went still again, but this silence felt different, heavier, more confused. Maya turned toward Alex, her brows furrowed. Who is he? She asked quietly. Alex took a deep breath, his eyes never leaving the man. His name is Jordan, he said, voice calm but tense. We worked together years ago. It didn't end well. Jordan let out a dry laugh. You didn't just work with me, Alex. You left when things got complicated, and now you show up here, acting like a different man. Maya's stomach turned, not out of fear, but because everything felt like too much. First Daniel, then Claire, and now this. But she reached for Alex's hand and gripped it tighter. Whatever this is, we'll deal with it later, she said, firmly. This day isn't about your past. It's about letting mine go. Jordan stood for another moment, as if deciding whether to say more, then slowly sat back down. The tension eased, though not completely. Daniel, still standing in the aisle, watched it all unfold with a blank expression. Whatever regrets he had, it was too late to fix them now. He turned to Olivia, his voice quiet but sincere. I want to be honest from here on. If you'll let me. Olivia didn't smile, but she nodded. We'll talk, but not here. Maya gave one final look at the couple at the altar, the future that once belonged to her. Then she turned away, walking with Alex toward the exit. Heads turned, but no one stopped them. There were no more whispers. Outside the venue, the sky had started to turn gold with the late afternoon sun. Maya exhaled deeply, the weight of old memories lifting at last. Sometimes the closure we seek doesn't come from a conversation. It comes from knowing you didn't need one. And as she walked forward, hand in hand with Alex, she finally felt free to start the next chapter for real.